When he was shutting down the machine to get off work, the hatch suddenly got stuck. He immediately moved the stuck plastic board away. The hatch suddenly closed on its own. Hearing his screams, his co-workers rushed over. They were about to pry the machine open with tools, but the foreman stopped them. Because the machine was expensive, they couldn't afford to damage it. Then, ignoring the man's life, he drove the workers away and continued working. The hatch didn't open again until the machine finished running. Then, like dragging a dead dog, the robot pulled Teddy, barely alive, out of it, though he survived for now. The fatal radiation had already caused all his organs to fail. He would be dead in 5 days. However, when the factory's wealthy boss learned about the work accident, he didn't try to treat Teddy or compensate him. Instead, he complained Teddy would dirty the factory sheets.
Don't want to replace the bedding in there, just get him out.
Clearly, to him, the workers' lives didn't matter at all, so he told his men to give Teddy only 5 days' worth of painkillers, tossed them to him, and told him to get out of the factory. Little did he know, his cold-blooded actions were all seen by Teddy, and the heartless rich man would pay a heavy price for his wrongdoings. Then, Teddy stumbled back to the slums. He knew clearly there was only one way to survive: head to Elysium. The medical pod there could cure any disease. Turns out, at the end of the 21st century, humanity suffered a severe pollution that caused a massive population drop. To maintain their high quality of life, the wealthy fled Earth and built a space station called Elysium in orbit. It had fresh air and robots serving people 24/7. Every household even had a medical pod. Just lie down in it, and any disease would be cured. But people living on Earth could only watch from afar, because tickets to Elysium were too expensive for the poor to afford. Smuggling became their only way to get to Elysium. So, with help from his friend Bomi, Teddy sought out the most notorious hacker in the area, Curly, the local crime boss. He could not only forge legal identities for the poor to enter Elysium, but also arrange spaceships to smuggle them to the station. But his price was sky high, and at that moment Teddy was dead broke, so he tried to get on the ship on credit, planning to work off the debt for Curly after coming back. Curly was so pissed, he laughed on the spot. It was the first time anyone had made such a request. He was about to tell Teddy to get back to the slums, but after learning Teddy only had 5 days left to live, Curly's attitude immediately changed. Not only was he willing to give Teddy a free ticket to Elysium, he even covered all his meals for the round trip. But Curly had one condition. Teddy had to help him kidnap a wealthy man coming back from Elysium and extract the biometric data from the back of his head so they could access his bank account and get a huge fortune. Teddy knew this wouldn't be easy because the rich guy was always protected by personal robots. He would probably lose his life halfway there, but this was Teddy's only way to survive, so he had no choice but to grit his teeth and agree. But the problem was, he could barely stand, let alone have the strength to catch someone. Curly was prepared for this. To help Teddy complete the mission, he had his men bring a fully steel exoskeleton suit. Once equipped, it would make Teddy as strong as a robot. Despite the brutal installation process, metal plugs were jammed directly into his nerves. After enduring several hours, Teddy finally got it installed. But the moment the suit perfectly connected with his arm, Teddy felt an unprecedented surge of power inside him. Now, his top priority was to take down his heartless boss. The team geared up and drove the battle-worn GTR to the boss's factory. Meanwhile, in the factory office, the tycoon was copying a data file into his own brain. Then, guarded by 2 robots, he boarded the space pod, ready to return to Elysium and continue enjoying life. But he never expected anyone would dare to attack him. No sooner had the pod taken off than Teddy, who had been lying in ambush, shot it down with 1 round. Engine smoking and pod out of control, it began to slide. Eventually crashing in the desert at the edge of the city, Teddy and his crew quickly drove to the scene. They grabbed their weapons, ready for battle, but the tycoon had already spotted them. Without a word, he ordered the robots to kill everyone around. One of the robots immediately tossed a bomb. A slow-reacting kidnapper was instantly blown to bits. After that, it quickly turned its weapon. But Teddy was faster, under several devastating explosive rounds. The robot that had missed its chance was blown to pieces. Then, with the heavy covering fire from his comrades, another robot had its head ripped off by Teddy barehanded, completely totaled. And the rich guy got shot in the chaos. He was badly wounded and about to die. Teddy had no choice but to start syncing his brain data on the spot. But after the copy was done, he realized the screen showed a bunch of completely unreadable gibberish. But they had to get out of there fast now, because the big commotion had already caught the military's attention, and a military ship had arrived. They sensed trouble and tried to run. But the ship was full of battle-hardened top agents. Curly's men didn't even see the enemy before getting taken out instantly by microbombs. Teddy's friend, Palm, was trying to cover his escape when the agent leader stabbed right through his body. Just as Teddy was about to finish the agent off, their backup forces suddenly arrived. With no choice, Teddy had to abandon his friend and leave alone. Though he narrowly dodged the pursuit along the way, he was covered in wounds and couldn't run far. With nowhere to go, he ended up at his first love's hospital, but he passed out halfway there. Luckily, Corgi, who had just gotten off work, found him and helped him to his home. Then, with Corgi's help, they patched up his wounds. When he woke up the next day, Teddy told Corgi his story. But then he saw a little girl walk out of the house. Turns out his first love was already married with a kid. He awkwardly got up to leave, but Corgi grabbed him. After learning Teddy had a shot at going to Elysium, with tears in his eyes, he told Teddy that his daughter had cancer and begged him to take her up to Elysium for treatment. But right now, he couldn't even save his own skin, let alone help others. Helpless, he had no choice but to cruelly reject the Corgi's request and turn away. However, no sooner had he left than the lead agent, who had tracked them down, stormed into the Corgi's home with his men. They pressed him for Teddy's whereabouts, but the Corgi refused to give him up no matter what. With no other option, the leader had to take the mother and daughter back to the ship. Meanwhile, Teddy had already found Curly and demanded he keep his promise to send him up to Elysium. But Curly shook his head and said it was impossible now, because the military had locked down all airspace and deployed every robot on a massive manhunt for Teddy. Clearly, the data they had obtained was no ordinary treasure code. Otherwise, it wouldn't have caught the military's attention like this. But when Curly extracted the information from Teddy's mind, he was utterly shocked. It wasn't a bank password at all. It was an ultimate weapon capable of overturning the entire human order. It turned out that before leaving the factory, the billionaire had, via holographic projection, met with the security minister of Elysium. This female minister wanted to stage a coup and replace the current administrator. She had asked the billionaire who helped build Elysium to rewrite a reboot code so she could become the new ruler of Elysium. But just as the plan was about to succeed, Teddy came out of nowhere. Curly stared at that code, thrilled. With it, he could reshape the entire order of Elysium, turning that exclusive paradise for the rich into no longer a forbidden zone for the poor. Everyone would be eligible to become a legal citizen of Elysium, but the problem is that decoding this code takes a full 5 days. Teddy doesn't have that much time, because he's got less than 2 days left to live. With that, he turned and walked away. Now the only option is to get to the space station for treatment immediately. With no choice left, he had to show himself. He found the agent leader, who was hunting him down, and tried to make a deal. He could hand over the data, but on the condition that the leader takes him to Elysium. Otherwise, he'd just blow up the grenade and end it all. The leader agreed without hesitation. But right after Teddy got on the ship, he saw Corgi and her daughter were there too. Looks like he still dragged them into this mess. While Teddy was still feeling guilty, the leader immediately ordered his men to snatch the bomb from him. In the chaos, the ship's control system got damaged. Teddy's grenade also fell to the floor during the scuffle. Teddy quickly hugged it tight to protect it, but the agent leader had half his face blown off. At the same time, the ship was about to completely lose control. It eventually crashed into someone's house. Luckily, Teddy and the other two were fine, but just as they were about to leave the ship, they were ambushed by the agent who had just woken up. Before he could react, he got tased and knocked out. Good thing, Curly used the tracker to come to Elysium too. When Teddy woke up again, he was tied up and strapped onto an operating table, but they forgot about Teddy's exoskeleton suit. With just a little effort, he broke free. The doctor tried to fight back, but Teddy didn't give him a chance. With just a few moves, he knocked the opponent to the ground. Then he forced the doctor to reveal the whereabouts of the Corgi, and that agent leader, who should have been dead for good, used the miraculous effects of the space medical pod to successfully repair half of his face. The first thing he did after waking up was to seek revenge on Teddy. The top agent had just come back from the dead when he was instantly chewed out by his boss.
Your orders were to keep this covert. You even remember what that means. Have you completely lost your mind? You're useless to me.
The woman kept blabbing about his incompetence, not noticing that the golden retriever was about to lose his temper.
For God's sake, Kruger, are you listening to me?
It's dead. I'm listening.
As the most elite killing machine in Elysium, he was sick of breaking his back working for others, only to get called a useless piece of crap by his boss. He picked up a shard of glass from the floor, turned around, and slashed his boss's artery. With that annoying boss out of the way, the next step was to find his enemy Teddy and extract the data from his brain. He would make himself the new ruler of Elysium. To do that, he put on a brand new combat suit, picked up his long blade, and set off on his hunt. At that moment, Teddy, strapped to the operating table, was secretly using his exoskeleton to break free. After easily taking down a few medical staff, he reached into his throat and pulled out a half-meter-long tube. Though his body was extremely weak at this point, Teddy knew he didn't have much time, so he swallowed the remaining painkillers in one go and rushed to the secret room on the 3rd floor, just in time to find the agent about to harm the Corgi. Teddy slammed him into the wall. The agent tried to fight back, but how could he be a match for Teddy? Just as Teddy was about to finish this bastard off, another agent burst in with a gun. Intense gunfire forced Teddy to roll and dodge. Luckily, there was a way out. Teddy grabbed a submachine gun. He turned the tables while the enemy was reloading. After the smoke cleared, Teddy escaped the mechanical depot with Corgi. He told Corgi to take his daughter and find the medical pod quickly. Meanwhile, he would meet up with Curly and head to the control room to change the system and save all of humanity. Just then, the door beside him suddenly opened. It was Curly, arriving with a squad of men. After assigning his men to protect Corgi and his daughter, Curly and Teddy continued toward the control room as planned. But they hadn't gone far when Teddy's head suddenly split with pain. And to make matters worse, a fully armed golden retriever was closing in.
You little fucker.
As a top-tier agent, his combat power was terrifyingly hopeless. He swung his long blade, leaving Teddy utterly defenseless. Sparks flew from the exoskeleton. At the critical moment, Curly stepped up. He saved Teddy and knocked the blade out of the enemy's hand. But the golden retriever, recovering quickly, pinned Curly to the ground with a dagger. Just as he was about to finish Curly off, Teddy charged in again in time. The two fought hand-to-hand, blow for blow. For a moment, it was a deadlock, but Teddy's body was already at its limit. After a few rounds, he was knocked to the ground. The golden retriever could have ended him right there. But most villains will taunt the protagonist at the critical moment, and golden retriever was no exception.
Wanna heal that little girl? You just need to come through me.
Enraged, Teddy rammed into Golden Retriever with all his might, and managed to knock him out of the iron fence. Golden Retriever eventually died from the blast. Without Golden Retriever in the way, they soon reached the control center of Elysium. Curly told him to plug it in while he began cracking Elysium's code. But just as he was about to succeed, he discovered something hard to accept. The screen showed that restarting the system would damage the host, meaning that once the system restarted, Teddy would die immediately. And not even the medical pod could save him. Teddy couldn't accept any of this, because he had done all of this just to survive. But then, he suddenly remembered Corgi, and the promise he had made since childhood.
I'll take us there one day. Really? Yeah, I promise.
They were running out of time. The people outside were cutting through the door. After making his final farewell, he still pressed the restart button. As Teddy convulsed violently, Elysium's system was rebooting. The people outside burst in and arrested Curly. Luckily, the system restarted successfully. As the lights throughout Elysium went out and came back on, the system had completed its update. The rules were rewritten as well. At that moment, everyone on Earth could become a legal citizen of Bliss Space. Corgi's daughter was also saved by the space pod, but Corgi's tears wouldn't stop falling, because Teddy was never coming back. Then the system detected countless more patients on Earth in need of help, so the robots immediately dispatched a large number of ships, flying to every corner of the world. Teddy, with his own sacrifice, bought the right to be born equal for everyone.